EmerelleOne, get out!
Hello tankers and tankettes, welcome to a viewer replay. This is from EmerelleOne and it's the tier 3 French tank destroyer, the Renault UE-57. It's basically a motorised bath chair. Now, you know how I start every video, or every World of Tanks video, saying hello tankers and tankettes? This is in fact the only tankette that is actually in the game, which is, I don't know, I just thought I'd point that out because, you know, it's a thing I say, and I kind of have a bit of fondness for this machine because of that fact, and also it's so diminutive, you know, it's kind of cute. It's basically, as the in-game information has it, it's a British 6-pounder gun on a French UE2 tankette chassis. The UE2 was developed, basically it was inspired by the British Cardon Lloyd tankette, which was extensively used throughout the 20s and 30s, and the French thought it'd be quite useful to have something along the same lines, and they used it for, you know, light tractor duties and just pulling things around, and there were even proposals to use it as a scout vehicle, but obviously not quite fast enough for that. But I haven't actually been able to find any information specifically about the in-game information claims that 1943 the Brits took a 6-pounder gun on it, and I can the Brits coming into possession of some UEs is not that hard to, you know, because the French made a lot of them, but I don't know, I can only surmise that they had some of these things lying around and thought, let's experimentally stick on a 6-pounder anti-tank gun and just see what happens, and it probably didn't go anywhere. In fact, almost certainly didn't go anywhere, because it's got no armour. It's a very, very small, very kind of slow machine, and I don't know. It would be interesting to read about this, and obviously Wargaming found some information about it somewhere, but actually finding information about it on the web is kind of difficult. Now, it's not the only tier 3 hybrid French tank destroyer, because there's a premium tier 3 French tank destroyer as well, the FCM-36 Pak 40, which is a German gun on a French chassis. And I mention this because there happens to be 3 of them on the enemy team. Yes, seal clubbing platoon detected there, I think. And I say seal clubbing platoon because they have an excellent view range, they have a good gun, but they have very poor mobility. And on this map, the poor mobility doesn't matter so much. This is 9.0 Komarin, and this is Komarin when it still had those patches of forest behind each cap where you could sit in a tank destroyer and it could get down to, you know, you've beaten most of the enemy team fair and square, and then you just get sniped by tank destroyers that have camped at the back the entire time, and only now, you know, the low health tanks are approaching. Do they finally swing into action? Now's their time to shine. So yeah, Komarin, even though this was the revamped Komarin, it still kind of sucked. And they've actually changed Komarin since, so it's a bit better. That those campy areas are now largely non-existent, and the middle area is now much more important, and the river is kind of not there anymore. So, this Panzer 1C, oh yes. At first it looks like he's just a bad driver. Maybe he's trying to go to the island, he's trying to go to these bushes as well. And Emerelle, you can see the spotting position he's trying to get to. He's got binoculars, he's got a camo net, but the Panzer 1C decides, no, your tank is dirty, your tank needs a wash. Now I don't know if this is just kind of like fake trolling, like, yeah, ha ha ha, I was going to drown you, but not really, ha ha, funny joke. Or else the Panzer 1C was so idiotic that he was actually trying to drown Emerelle and failed. It's a good thing he didn't though, as you will see, and we'll also see a bit more of that Panzer 1C in a couple of minutes time, so I will point that out when that particular event occurs. So, the matchmaking is a bit funny on this team. It's a couple of tier 5s, 2 tier 4s, and the rest all tier 3s, and in theory this is excellent news for the tier 5s. But among the tier 5s are also artillery, so even though there's 1 tier 5 heavy per team, and it's otherwise really good matchmaking for tier 5 heavies, the tier 5 arties are going to be very much concentrated on those tier 5 heavies because they are pretty much the biggest, slowest, highest priority targets there are. And that kind of combination in this matchmaking, well, yeah, you have to be a lot more cautious if you're a top tier than maybe you would otherwise like to be. I mean, the KV-1 especially, you should just be able to ruffle stomp through most of the enemy team, but it's not going to be the case at all.
There are also two two tier 5 tank destroyers, one of which is French, is what I was trying to say. The S-35CA, the tier 5 bathtub. And the French tank destroyer line's a bit funny generally, because you get this diminutive machine with its excellent camo value and its pretty good guns. And then you get the Samur, which is terrible. It's just all round terrible. It has not good guns, not good camo value, not good mobility, not good armour. It doesn't do anything well at all. It does, however, get a derp gun. It's the only French tank destroyer. In fact, I think the only French tank that gets a howitzer that isn't an artillery, obviously. Then you get the tier 5, the bathtub, which is a really good machine again. And then you get the ARL at tier 6, which is again terrible. And from tier 7 onwards, it's kind of a bit more unified. So there's the KV-1. Side of a KV-1, yes please. The 6-pounder gun at tier 3, I mean, it doesn't have the rate of fire of some of the tier 4 and tier 5 6-pounders. But, yeah, look at that. That's just devastating. He set the guy on fire. That's the enemy KV-1, completely just, you know, dead, out of action. And even if no one else had shot at him, or what am I trying to say here? Even if Emerelle hadn't been there, maybe, is what I'm trying to say, the KV-1 still would have been in trouble. But the fact that Emerelle was there with his 110 penetration against the side of a KV-1, you know, that was just nice. That was most of the KV-1's health. Well, I'll say most. Over half? Over half. It's what, 640? Yeah, I think so. So he's just trying for a shot at the T-46, but T-46 gets away with his life. T-49 over there. Very narrow shot. Emerelle can't quite make it. The accuracy on this gun's alright, but it suffers a bit. Oh, well, that's unfortunate, that bounce. It would have been a kill otherwise. It doesn't have a great gun traverse, which is kind of the same for some of the French TDs, but not all. And the aim time is alright. Now that bounce, yeah, on an M2 medium, I think he just hit the front armour at just such an oblique angle. You don't bounce much in an M2 medium. So the M2 medium dies, and watch the messages. Ally, Panzer 1C, drowned! Yes! In an ironic twist of fate, the idiot in the Panzer 1C was an idiot and drowned himself. So there you go, GG. T-46 again, can we get a shot? Now he had to turn, aiming. Nope, okay, T-46 gets away, that's a bit unfortunate. In the south, the T1 Heavy, a Cruiser 2, and the Flak Bus have all pressed across the river, but you're never going to guess where the FCMs are. Camping in the forest? Well, of course, where else would they be? I mean, yeah, that just goes without saying. You don't even have to, that was not even really, that was barely a rhetorical question. T-28's down, that's good. He might have had a nasty gun if he'd had a chance to use it. Panzer Souffle has taken out the... rather, the Panzer Souffle, the Flak Bus, has been taken out by an FCM. The enemy artillery takes out the T1 Heavy, and it's just a Cruiser 2 left over there now. I don't know why they pushed across. It was obviously just inexperience. I don't think it would have been a good idea to you know, a more experienced player would have not have pushed across to that open ground when we could have been fairly certain that that's where the FCMs were going to be. But this map, I mean, this was... Tank destroyers were the bane of this map. This map was not well designed at all with that forested area. And again, that T-46 just getting away with his life there. The T-49 might be coming to the middle. We've still got our bathtub, which is good. He's also got a good view range. We've still got our artillery. And there's a Churha, which, you know, let's not discount that guy. He's actually got quite a good gun for a tier 3. Not as good as Emerelle's gun, but it's still pretty decent. Now, I think he thought the S-35 was coming on the island, and then... Actually, we see on the minimap, no, the S-35's all the way on the other side of the map. He's actually... just within render range. And the another FCM kill there, the Cruiser 2 dies. Emerelle doesn't have... Sixth Sense, I should point out, and I don't know if this is just a game where he was grinding his way up through the French tank destroyer tree and he had this game, or if this is one that he's kept just for fun. But he's clearly, you know, it's clearly elited in terms of its modules, but he might have 100% crew, he just might not have, you know, the crew that far along enough to have any crew skills, and that's kind of tough on lower tier machines to play them enough to, you know, get enough crew XP. And if you're the French, if you're playing on the French TD line, the only premium you've got to grind crew with is the FCM 36 Pack 40, also on tier 3. Although in that thing, you know, you get a tier 5 match, actually, you can rack up some decent XP and credits. Not as decent as if you're in a tier 5 or higher premium, of course, but still not bad. So he's behind a bush cover, he's turning, but it doesn't matter, the A20's dead. The Chahar took a bit of damage, the M41 got spotted, as he's just realised. I think that's probably the S35? Or no, T49? I don't know what was shooting at him actually. For 40 damage, it must be the S35 that was shooting at that guy. But it seems odd that the S35 would be in a position to shoot at that guy. So, who knows? He's moving behind the cap now, and this is actually the first time he's been here at any point. You know, in a game on this map, you know, this is did I mention this was 9.0? I think I did. You know, he's in a tank destroyer, and it's taken him this long to actually utilise this area, but he's actually sitting on the edge. And there's the S35, so actually it could have been the S35 that shot the M41. Now he's going to back up, so he's more than 15 metres behind the bush, but there's the gun depression. He just goes over a little bump in the ground, and that throws off his aim totally into the air. But at least he wasn't spotted, or he can be fairly confident that he wasn't spotted. The only way he'll know for sure is if he takes any return fire. Now, the Chihar just got taken out by an FCM, so we know they're at least within render range. They could be around this area, they could actually be down here and spotting, and they've actually got, you know, they've got very good view range. But our S35 is actually now moving in that direction as well. The medium gets caught out, he's dead. I don't know quite why he was crossing that way anyway, just inexperience, I guess. And in order to actually shoot anything, Emerelle's pretty much got to move now. If the FCMs are all down there, then he's actually got to make a move. Now, we see, yeah, that attempt at trolling in the chat there. Why you die? Tier 3 own you. Really? You're trolling a medium 3? Who's also a tier 3? That is, I don't even know. We'll just chalk that one up to failed trolling, to be honest, because that's not even a good troll. That's just, I don't even know what to call that. It's just another piece of, like, ho ho ho, aren't I funny, but not really. So, oh, there's the T49. Emerelle pretty much has to get to cover. I mean, he's on open ground. He doesn't know, again, he doesn't know if he's spotted. But, okay, yeah, no, that was an FCM shell coming in his direction, so he's definitely spotted. But there's this little rise of ground here, so he can use that. The M41 actually defends himself against the T49, though, so that's good. That's, if the T49 had killed artillery, that would have been very bad news. The S35 is taking some fire. Emerelle's position's also taking some fire, but that's all 3 FCMs now lit up. And, oh, that's an unfortunate miss. Come on. Oh, no. He just leads the shot slightly. Of course he's going to get spotted behind those bushes, because he's right behind those bushes. You can't, with that rise of ground, he can't sit far back enough to fire through the bushes and not be spotted. He actually has to fire and fall back, get unspotted, and then pull forward again. Now, one of the FCMs is down by artillery. Emerelle's going to try and spot again. Their arty fires and misses. And he's just hoping that, you can see he just pauses long enough for his binoculars to come up. So they're not there. He's going to pull forward. He knows arty's fired, and even if he gets spotted, he's not in immediate danger of being nailed by artillery. But obviously the FCMs, that's like 2 shots to kill Emerelle. In fact, it might only be 1 shot if they use HE ammo. Now you can see that he's just, you can hide in bushes, you can use bush cover in this thing that no other tank destroyer can use, just because it's so diminutive. The only other machine that's possibly like low enough, small enough, is some of the light tanks as well. I mean, some of the light tanks are pretty small, but maybe the ELC. But anyway, he knocks a tree over, which is a bit of a faux pas. It's a bit of a no-no in any situation where you might have artillery searching for you. Know that's a telltale that you do not want to give the enemy. But it doesn't matter so much in this circumstance, because it's actually as he's relocating to go elsewhere that he knocks that tree over. And having knocked that tree over doesn't give them any clues as to where he's going. So he's going to look in the middle. He actually looks like he's going to try and get into the middle, but I mean, this tank weighs nothing. And it absolutely no chance in hell of getting through that. But hello, that's a turn up for the books. Okay, enemy artillery. The rate of fire means he's probably got a good chance. And the arty actually, like, turns then repositioned slightly, so that would have thrown his aim off. So Emerelle was fairly safe with that. He attracts fire from somewhere, one shell from one of the FCMs that, I don't know, obviously just a shot taken for the hell of it, because, you know, if it hit, then it would have been nice, but it obviously didn't. It was nowhere close, so that's fine. He's actually, I don't think he's really in any danger of running out of ammo here, and friendly artillery is still alive, which is a massive asset as well. But you can't afford to spam shells in quite the same way that you can, say, in something like the Churchill 3, or I'm trying to think what else gets the 6-pounder with lots of ammo. Oh, one shot kill, okay. The last two guys on the enemy team, and this is how you out-troll trolls, basically. We're down to one FCM. Now, there was a house between him and Emerelle, so he will not have spotted Emerelle. He's clearly focusing on the M41. He might not even have... he must have spotted Emerelle, but he's trying to maybe get to artillery cover. I mean, he's panicking a bit. He's alone. He's low health. And bam! There we go. Emerelle gets the last kill. 7 kills in his tier 3 machine in a tier 5 match. And he out-trolled a platoon of seal clubbing, you know, trolls that were trying to troll themselves, so, you know, that's always a satisfying result as well. That was an ace mastery, unsurprisingly, high caliber, top gun, and a patrol duty medal. He was by far the top of his team, 1450 base XP. The next best on his team was the M41 with 500 base XP, and then everyone else is 400 or less. So I would say he cleaned up quite nicely in that one. He also made a fairly decent profit, considering it's a tier 3 tank destroyer. With premium he made nearly 30,000 credits, or just over 29,000, and because it was his daily, he actually 4,350 XP. You know, that's not too shabby at all. Unsurprisingly, on the enemy team it was the FCMs that were that they had the best scores, but although they didn't perform particularly well, all things considered, they just camped for most of that battle and trusted that enemies would come to them. And to be fair to them, they actually did go on the move. They could have just sat behind their cap the entire time, at which point Emerelle would have been forced to come to them, and they probably would have won just by camping. But they went forward as a unit. They went forward and tried to actually, you know, play as if they were playing tanks and not just sitting behind the cap the entire time and not moving, because that's just, I don't know. Maps that give you the ability to do that are fail maps, and Komarin was really the worst. But Wargaming have made an effort to take away the kind of cover and change maps where that, you know, that make that kind of thing possible. So you won't see battles like that too often. So it was, yeah, I think that was a very good performance, all things considered. You know, for a low tier game to make it onto my channel, there has to be something special about it. And to have done 1450 damage, well, 1475 damage, and have gotten 1450 XP, base XP, in a tier 3 machine, I think that's pretty damn good. He did nearly as much as the next 3 people combined, not quite, but he certainly did as good as, well, way better than any of the tier 5s on his team. And considering that one of those was an S35, you know, that's not bad going. The T1 Heavy, as we see, really didn't do anything. 26 damage. I don't know how you do 26 damage in a T1 Heavy. Was he using the stock gun and only firing HE shells? I don't even know. The Flak Bus was equally bad, 31 damage and 1 kill, but at least he took an enemy tank out of commission. The rest of the team, I mean, there's not much to say there. Most of the team list was pretty terrible in that one, and Emerelle, he was able to use his camo advantage for a lot of that, and he also played smart, and he used terrain smartly. That's probably the most important thing here as well, that he had an awareness of how to stay safe in between taking shots at certain parts of the match. So yeah, that was pretty entertaining, I thought, and it was quite tense, and If the FCMs had camped, I think it would have been a very different result. If the Panzer 1C had succeeded in drowning Emerelle, it definitely would have been a very different result. It would have been a ruffle stomp for the enemy team, because our team, I don't think, would have been nearly as effective. Just to reiterate, he did 1400 damage in his tier 3 machine. Nearly 1500 damage. That's just, yeah, I don't know, what can one say except GG, that was extremely well played. So if you enjoyed this, you can hit the like button, you can leave any comments below, you can subscribe to my channel, and as always, stay tuned for more.